Do you ever feel like shopping?
No. No. No, I do not.
This is what I'm saying. Terrifying.
Do you?
Terrifying. Okay, see?
11 out of 10 doctors recommend me, Phoebe.
And I'm Jacque,
And welcome to Do You Ever Feel Like?
where we ask the questions that everyone's thinking and no one's answering.
On the avenue, Fifth Avenue. That's all.
Very thematic for today's episode.
Oh my god, I didn't even think about that.
How are you? How are you doing?
You know, I asked Simon yesterday, what do you think of crossing your arms? Is that, people are always like, that's defensive body language, but that's just kind of where I like to keep them.
It's the most
What do you
ableist shit
think
I've ever
about
heard in
that?
my life.
Right?
That's what I think.
That's what I think. That's what I think too. But my whole life I've been crossing arms, and you know, like, these people are like, don't cross your arms. Where else are you supposed to put them? Where are you putting arms?
All this stuff is made up.
Yeah, it's all colonial crap, no? I feel like I sound like so annoying, and I only say one thing because it's always
Broken
colonial
record.
crap. Like, it's just colonial crap. It's just like that's just racist, and we're all just
Yeah.
So that's how I am, to answer your question.
Great.
How are you? It must be very different. You must feel very different than I do.
No, I do not.
I don't think that's a thing that you can, like, I don't know. A friend asked me the other day, they're like, if you if you were with somebody and they really wanted to get married, like, would you get married? And I was like, absolutely not, because that's like a fundamental difference of like my, like, what I value. And I think, like, you have to have at least that in your relationships, right?
Yes.
So you have to have at least the fundamentals of your values.
I think so.
Hot topic, I know. It's really
think so.
radical of me to say, anyway.
Yeah, we
Well,
have
you'd
some
be
fundamental
surprising, yeah.
values.
Yes, we have some fundamental values that we share. How nice of us. What have
I'm
you
okay.
been? Oh yeah, answer the first question I asked you.
Yeah. Thanks. I've been okay. I'm getting this last week.
No, it's not been right out in these streets. It's not been correct. Things have not been good.
Like,
And like I
insanity.
knew. I listened to my Chenny app on Monday mornings. I know when retrogrades are. I know that the world is bad. Not enjoying it currently. Not coping well.
Not coping well. Yeah.
Although maybe I should be nicer to myself. Maybe it's not that I'm not coping well, because actually, you know, I like do the things, right? Like, I do my sun salutations. I do like, you know, I drink some water. I like, you know, I do the things, but
Yeah.
it's like bare minimum, you know?
Yeah. I've been really reminding myself of that in the last week, how like I've been just feeling so scattered and confused, and like I can't sleep, and nothing is every single thing I set out to do doesn't happen. I haven't been feeling well. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's just the internal crap of like, you're not enough. You're not doing enough. You could do more. You could blah, 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 blah. Like, it's just so loud right now. Yeah. I feel like in this last week, our friendship has consisted of me just having like existential anxiety and texting you and being like, I have anxiety. And you being like, yes. Yes, you do. And then me being like, do you think I'm special because I have anxiety? And you being like, no.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Get in line, bitch. Join the queue.
Exactly. Exactly. That's how I'm doing. And like, it's hard, right? Like, you know, exactly. Like violence, just awful violence on my phone every single day, right?
Yeah.
The primaries right now are happening in the US. Scary
Yeah.
times. The abortion ban that they're trying to pass in Florida is scary.
Horrifying.
Like, it's all scary. And I've been really, I don't know, like, grateful. I have a lot of admiration for the artists, the writers, the cultural critics, the content creators, the people in the world that are responding to this time with a lot of like hope and faith and like perspective.
Yeah.
Because they are keeping me going, because it's so hard to be doom and gloom and like not want to get out of your bed, you know?
And like, yeah. I mean, I think I send you a text at least once a week where I'm like, I just learned something new about America. I don't like it. But I also think it's so like, I know I've said this to you 1,000 times. And I probably said it 1,000 times on this podcast. Like, I got really irritated with like Canadians being like, wow, so glad I don't live in the States, as if these things don't affect us, and as if, I mean, we don't have the same fucking crazy shit going on. Like, conservatives be out here all over the world right now. Like, I don't know if, you know, like New Zealand had that, you know, Jacinda was doing great, and then she stepped down, and they have like this wackadoo, like, alt-right freak situation going on, right? So it's just like, it's everywhere in the world. And it makes me really frustrated when people act like they're immune to something, or like you don't actively contribute to something. And I think, I mean, to like, you know, colonial crap everywhere, I am just so extra sensitive, I feel, to people's double think these days, because I see and speak with and love and admire, you know, people in my life who, you know, vote a particular way, you know, good liberals, whatever. But then like the day-to-day of it all are still upholding these things. And I just like,
like, because like voting is like
if you say you don't like it, then you have to fucking do something about it. And and so, you know, to your point, like, yes, God bless the artists that can keep us going, because you have to keep going. Like, it doesn't do anyone any good to just, you know, you can't be a good, I don't know, pretty basic, but like, you know, resistance member if you're just holed up in your house. So
Yep. Absolutely. I think you were just about to ask me what I've been into, what I've been watching.
Yeah,
and
what
I
have
did
you been
bring
watching?
something to discuss.
Oh my God, I love show and tell.
That was an insanely awesome response. Also, I can't tell if you're being like sarcastic.
No, I don't understand sarcasm. I'm so excited. No, I'm not being sarcastic at all. I love show and tell. I love show and tell.
No, I know you
I
love
brought
show
my
and
grandfather in for show and tell when I was in the first grade.
Yes, you did. You love show and tell. We're not going to get in a fight about this on podcast, but you can do sarcasm. I don't know if you can always perceive it or understand it.
No,
but you can,
that's what I mean.
You can hand some sarcasm out. You can be very sarcastic. You're very funny.
So we were gonna get in a fight after. You're gonna get told off when we stop recording.
I know. We're gonna get in a fight about this. No.
No. I don't perceive sarcasm very well. Anyway. Tell me your thing.
I'm so excited that you're excited about this. Okay. We're both obsessed with Miranda July. Have you been watching Miranda's transformation of her little home?
Yes.
Her construction? On her stories?
Yeah, her thing. What do you have? What do you have?
Me?
Do you have like a shingle?
To actually show you? Oh, no, I don't have anything physical to show you.
Oh! I was in your chair, like.
Oh, that's because Ollie was making noise.
That's why I got like,
do you have an artifact? An artifact from Miranda July's apartment.
I thought maybe she sent you, like, she was, like, selling plaster bits or something like that.
No, but genius.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh. She's transforming this, like, little apartment. It kind of looks like it's like
a garage studio.
Above a garage studio space. Yeah. Yes, exactly. And the genius, first of all, this is what Miranda July just does really well, period, right? Like, an incredible storyteller, takes you on the journey, like, lives her life in such an artistic, cool way. Like, everything, every interaction, every little like, everything is something, right? And I'm, like, so invested in the space because of the way that she's been documenting. And she is an incredible, like, documenter, right?
Oh,
like,
she's a great storyteller, and
a great storyteller. But, like, I can't, like, I'm, like, finding myself so personally invested in all of the, like, vendors and, like, places she's buying from and people who are, like, helping build this space that she's gonna live in. You know what I mean? Like, it's been so incredible. And then aesthetically, it's just gorge. So lovely. I'm obsessed with her yellow cabinets in her kitchen. They're, like, this beautiful buttery yellow that I love. Yeah. And I want to know I want to, like, be the, like, you know, friends with the guy who's constructing it.
Yeah.
And then, like, she had, like, this lovely vignette of, like, you know, her plumber, like, like chatting all about, I don't know, like, his, like, relationships, I think with his grandfather or his dad or something, as they both, like, played tapes off of a cassette, like, recorder thing that she got. Like, I don't know. It's just been, like, she's, like, finding things and remaking them, and she's bringing people into, like, the relationship of it all, of, like, the home and the space. And, like, that has been my, like, my binge watch. It's, like, Miranda July converting.
It's so funny you say that. Yeah, because, like, I remember she does that so often, like, when there's been, like, a moment on her Instagram in particular for you to watch, right? Like, the Margaret Qualley thing. But I fucking loved, this was years ago, where she and I can't remember. I think it was I might have been doing my thesis at the time. She was going to offices and, like, and parking lots. And, like, how do you explain anything that Miranda July does? It's like, it's always so silly, and I always feel a bit like it's, like, so nothing, and
she's, like in interaction with everything all the time, like, in response and in interaction to everything all the time, and it's, like, documentation, but, like, not
performance, like, solo performance kind of thing. But she was going to, like, parking lots and wearing, like, a suit and, like, walking around with, like, files, and then, like, just kind of documenting the interactions that she had with, like, people in her files. And she was, like, going to, like, office buildings and, like, going into the hallways and, like, walking with her files as well. Like, it was so fucking brilliant and funny. I just thought it was, like,
she's so good.
I don't know, I loved it so much.
So
but
good.
I was doing my thesis at the time, and so I was doing the same thing in, like city buildings but in costume. So I just love her her stuff so much. She's, like, much.
I've gone down a deep dive again because, you know, I'm working on this solo show, which like is the scariest thing I've ever done in my life, ever. Like,
I think it's the craziest thing anyone could do. I think, like, solo performance is, like, it's like, what in, I mean, I guess you could ask us about any kind of art, but I find with solo performance in particular, it's like, why do I want to do the scariest version of this thing? Like, you could, like, package up an idea in so many, but, like, oh, I'm just going to pick the one that makes me want to vomit the most.
Yeah. I'm going to pick the most vulnerable. Like, and it's weird because I feel like the stories that I've been trying to tell, this is like, okay, now we're on an art podcast. Okay, great.
Welcome.
Well, I guess, yeah, it's always been, always will be.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, the stories I've been trying to tell in so many other forms, exactly, in so many other ways, like, even just in, like, a, you know, traditional 2-act or something like that, or like a 3-act play, or, like, you know what I mean, just like a play, like, have not worked really, like, have not, like, you know, like moment where things kind of like click in, you know, when you're making something, like haven't worked in the same way that they have in solar performance. And I find that really interesting. Like, oh, I've been trying to say this in some kind of way, in some kind of other package or medium or whatever, and that's like not happening. But then like the scariest, most vulnerable thing, oh, now this works, you know? Yeah. Which I find really interesting. And I feel like we're both kind of in like the solo phase too, because I'm very excited about what I've been seeing you whip
solo
up
performance era
lately. Yes. I'm like, yes, like please. I want to see some of Phoebe on a wall, little baby Phoebe.
I'm in my solo performance era, but like I refuse to leave my house. Like I'm just simply not leaving my house. I'm going to see how far I can run with that.
I mean, you have gotten really good at running. Probably pretty far.
Yeah, so I'll just take my little ideas and stuff them in my little run sack. Yeah, I can't be. I don't know why. I don't think you're like supposed to tell people. I remember talking with a friend who's from Colombia, and I was saying to her, I was like, "Oh, I love just talking about all of my ideas all the time," and she was just like, "Oh, like," and I don't know if there was like a particular she was talking about, she's like, where I come from, you do not talk about your ideas before. It's like a bad, what's the word? Like you're kind of like jinxing it kind of thing. Yeah. And so and ever since we had that conversation, I'm like, oh, maybe I should shut up more about my ideas. Like maybe I'm jinxing them, but I don't have that in me. I have compulsion, but I have been like wanting to try stand up, and I still can't tell like what in me wants to do that, because a good chunk of it, if at least not 75% of it, is just like, that terrifies me. I want to do that. Like I would put trying stand up in the same realm of like jumping off of a bridge or something like that. Yeah, because I have the sickness.
You have the sickness. You have the sickness. Oh my gosh. Yes, we've talked about this. But like that podcast that Tracy Ellis Ross was on, when she was describing that feeling, that's exactly who you are. Like you're like, yeah, sure, I'll jump off a bridge. And it's not until you're like midair that you're like, was this a bad idea?
Like I really think it's quite amazing. I have like all of my limbs on my body still. Oh, yeah. And like have the life I have, because like if somebody says like, hey Phoebe, do you want to do this? Like I say yes. Like it's not, I should probably stop. I haven't really learned I haven't learned my lesson yet, is maybe the problem, because I keep getting away with things. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. It's just like I just love being terrified.
Yeah. Okay, speaking of loving being terrified, this is a great segue into our question, which is...
Okay.
I think this is a great segue, but this is how our brains work. I said our. Yes, I did. Do you ever...
Our one brain.
Yes. My question today is, do you ever feel like shopping?
No. No. No, I do not.
This is what I'm saying. Terrifying. Terrifying. Okay, see? Many a debate about this you and I have had about if I'm a shopper or not, which we'll get to.
Okay, but whether or not you are a shopper is different than do you ever feel like shopping? Okay. Because you are a shopper, I can tell you that. I'm not even going to let you answer the first question I asked you. Okay. I will tell you about yourself, though.
I think this comes down to, and once again, where we always go with the first kind of journey into the question, into the abyss, is what even is shopping, right? So, like, let us clarify what shopping is.
Okay.
Okay. When I say shopping, I mean going into a store and buying something, or opening up a screen and buying something.
Okay.
I mean both of these interactions. I don't mean just like leaving the house and going shopping and like going to a lovely store.
But do you mean buying something?
I don't mean purchasing either. I mean the act of shopping doesn't necessarily need to end with a purchase.
Okay.
This is how I've classified and categorized, defined shopping in my head. Does that feel like that's what shopping is to you? I don't know. Everyone has a different...
if these are the parameters, in this speech, I will then go off, hit me.
Okay. You work in a little shop.
I accept the conditions.
Okay, great.
Of your, yeah.
Awesome. Because you can add to cart. You can put in bag, but you don't necessarily need to buy in order to shop.
I wonder, I don't know if you have the answer to this question at all today, but does adding to cart give our brain that little
yes
Christmas morning thing? Because I certainly feel that way, but does it actually?
Yes, it does. It gives us the little dopamine hit. Not as much as getting our pretty little package or going into a store, which I think is something else that is its own experience.
I do love,
right?
Yeah, I love going into a store the same way that I love going out for dinner. I love an environment.
Yes, an environment, a world, an experience, which is how kind of shopping, especially with us. Two middle-class white ladies would be to go into a department store with our little clickety-clacks on and talk to the makeup counter girl, you know what I mean? And have it be this delicious,
oh my God, I mean, I wish you could
experience.
I could shop the way that it existed in the 70s and 80s, and even the, I feel we're both a little too young to have really experienced mall culture the way it could have been.
Oh my God,
that was
my
I
sister
remember being
experienced mall culture. Yeah. Totally differently.
I would go to the mall, that was an activity, but it wasn't the same as I see in the movies and stuff. I know. That sounds intoxicating.
Yes. I think my sister personally didn't have that experience, but people 5 years older than us or whatever, had prime mall, even parking lot experiences, right? Ooh, so good. So yes, I would love to exactly 60s, 70s, department store experience, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe not so much the 70s. There was a lot going on there. But I personally would love to, have the same, as a kid, even going with my mom shopping, right? And like going into a department store always felt quite special. Like, you know, everything's very like pretty and clean and, you know, people are getting paid way too little and it's oppressive and horrible.
Well, but like that's not like, I think of my one of my grandparents, when she came to Canada, like in the 60s and 70s, like she was I'm trying to remember what brand she worked for. Like she worked at Eaton's and she was a shop girl and that was her career. And like, I mean, she has a nice little retirement. Like
it was a great gig.
Shop gal career.
Yeah, totally. It was a great gig.
Incredible shoes. I have her vintage shoe collection that like
I'm sure
don't quite fit my feet, but you know,
love it.
You know, you just play dress up. You play like, you know, a little dress up moment. And...
Yes, actually, like in my research, I discovered that like those types of jobs, like the department store job, was considered like like very fair, like good, decent work, and also kept women safe from like
and a hard job to get to. Yeah, a hard job to get to.
Very difficult job.
She like went to work before everybody like got up for the day, but she was able to get home like, you know, before her kids. Make dinner still, you know.
If you keep coming back to listen to the pod, thank you so much. We love making this podcast and we love you. To keep supporting this project, we ask that you take a few seconds to go to wherever you're listening and hit subscribe or follow. This one move ensures that you will always know when a new episode drops, and it allows the pod to continue to grow.
If you want to leave us with a rating and some kind words, we will be so grateful. Lastly, if you want to support the creation and production of the pod and give us a little thank you treat, who doesn't love a little treat? You can head over to the link in the show notes for our Venmo link. We appreciate you so much.
We just turn into sweet little beings. We're just sweet little flowers.
My God, we're so cute.
We're
all
so
of a sudden.
sweet.
Not grumpy, angry women.
Money.
Give me money.
Money.
I want to be in a ranking. Put me on the list.
Someone recently, and now I'm mad that I don't have this in my notes, but I want to say it was like some labor organization did like a survey or a survey that was from like, I want to say the 50s or 60s. I'll have to find it in the show notes. That was talking about just that, like what a woman's schedule that was like a working mother would look like in that time, and like how like 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. like what women working looked like. And I found that really fascinating. And a lot of them were like women that would work in retail or shopping or department stores or whatever.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting. However, wait, hold on. Where were we? We were talking about department stores, right? And
you were talking about department stores with your mom. Yeah.
Yes. And I like really loved that experience, and it was like special. And, we would go to lunch, and it was like, so cute and fun.
Yeah.
And how like stores, like department stores, like they don't exist anymore. Like no one
they really don't
goes
even
into
like
stores.
Even the like shell of them that existed even a handful of years ago really does not exist it's crazy. I went to the mall like to get a pair of shoes, I don't know, a couple of months ago, like the mall that I worked at as a teenager, and I was like, whoa,
I know. Yeah.
Whoa, this place is
bleak,
upsetting. 1 second, I'm gonna get my dog. Is that Simon now? Are you not? Come here. Okay, let's go. Come on. Yeah, I mean, just like the number of like empty stores and stuff like that I've seen, and like, I mean, we're just talking. This is just the sad life. Like the downtown area of like where I live, the last couple of months has it's like every other shop front is empty now. Like and they were all lovely like little boutiques and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they're just gone now. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. It's weird in Philly because I feel like, especially in Center City, well, we've got the kind of the storefront closure issue, like ghost town vibes as well. But and that has to do with like so many different things in Philadelphia. But,
yeah.
Yes, as it doesn't happen. Again, like you guys are not that different than us.
No.
But something I've noticed is like even the stores that have stayed open. Like the other day, we have a Boyd's in Philadelphia. Do you know what that is? It's like a department store. But it's like, I don't know. It's not quite like a Nordstrom. It's like smaller, whatever. Yeah. It's like a designer department store. And it's still open in Philly. And every time I walk by, there is not a soul in there. I mean, beautiful clothes, beautiful shoes, like beautiful people selling the beautiful clothes and the beautiful shoes. And like, dressed all up, and no one is in there. And I'm thinking like, how is this storefront open right now? Like, I don't understand. I'm like, is online retail paying for this? Like, I don't get it. I don't understand this business model.
I mean, I know that all of these like corporations, so I worked in retail for a really long time, and I know all of these like corporations have different like reasons or strategies around like storefronts versus online. And so, yeah, like, I don't know, like, I just like as like a little bit of insight, like, so I know sometimes, so I worked for Urban Inc. for like a number of years, and I always thought it was really funny, like that shopping experience was like very sensory heavy. So like the whole thing was like, we had like, what you see like a merchandising perspective, but like environments would be built. But then we also had like scents, like different areas and different parts of the store had different scents going. And so like again, I don't know the strategy around those things necessarily or what they would be different now, but I do find it so funny when I go into a store now. Like I just I've been digitizing VHS tapes. Mm-hmm. Whoa, I just had like such a weird dyslexia moment there where I got so confused about that word. VHS.
You did it right.
There we go.
VHS. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Uh-huh.
So confused.
Yeah.
I had to go get like this tape cleaned because it couldn't go in the thing, whatever. So I like took it to like the one little specialties store.
Yeah.
That's in Hamilton. I think probably there like might be one in Toronto. Like there's like one in Toronto, one in Hamilton now. And I was expecting like a service that like I remember going even when I was a teenager, my friends and I would buy disposable cameras and they were $10 and that included your prints of those now. Disposable cameras now are like $30 now.
And
They're
the prints
crazy.
are expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's not even including your prints at all. I walked in, I was expecting to pay around like $50 for this thing. They're like, oh yeah, okay, it'll just be $40. I was like, okay, great. I went and picked it up yesterday. They're like, oh, it was a little bit more work for us to get this tape, blah, blah, blah. $70.
Insane.
2 men, however, there were 2 men working in this giant store full of very expensive camera equipment, etc. And I was like, you know what? I'm happy to pay my $70 fee to keep the specialty camera store open for another month.
Exactly.
Exactly. I don't even know what I'm paying for. I just think, and like I buy my, like it's cheaper to buy film other places, but I go there very specifically because I'm like, hey y'all, I see you guys. Respect the hustle. Why do you have so much staff in here on a Tuesday afternoon? But that's not my call.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. Yeah. I mean, this transitions nicely to this idea that I wanted to chat about, which is like this like shopping locally or shopping small. I mean, obviously we could do an entire episode on how like the fashion industry is destroying the earth. And
oh my God, in ways that we don't even want to fucking think or talk about, but whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Like not even just like environmental or sustainability, right? Like there's so many other ways. But but I think what is okay, I feel like now in living, I've lived in cities, you know, a lot of my adult life, and I feel like now when I go to cities, you can copy and paste basically like a like a shop small store, like a and they all carry the same brands,
same thing. Yep.
The same thing. Jacque and I went to Hudson, New York in February. And there were a couple of places that felt very curated and unique, but basically everything else, right, was just like this kind of like shop small boutique branded thing.
Garbage. I'll go right ahead. I'm not afraid to call it garbage crap. And it's the same fucking shit that is from you got me going. It's the same crap that is from wish.com. Like it's it, just because I'm handing my money to a woman named Deb, that makes it somehow better than fucking Bezos. Like fuck off. Like it's the same crap that's destroying our earth. Like give me a break.
It's so interesting.
Give me a break.
Wow. So first of all, I had no idea that Amazon is like the leading fashion retailer. Like
Amazon in the States is like so much wackadoo than we even have here. Like
people that are just like shopping on Amazon, and it's not even like shopping on shopping a brand on Amazon. It's like there is Amazon clothing, which I find I had I'm so confused by. But anyways, yes, exactly. It's like I like don't know why that exactly isn't the same thing, right? Just because we're calling it like shopping small, and there's like a pretty like calligraphy like sign outside or whatever, right?
Garbage. But that font can eat my ass. That font. Who came up with that horrible hell font?
I don't know. I have no idea.
But wedding invitation nightmares. Sorry. No, it's just,
script.
It frustrates me that you're told that something in one area is good and something in another area is good. And I just think like the inherent, like, your money going to one place or another doesn't make it inherently better. You know?
Just because
Like,
it's
what are
packaged
you-
differently.
Yeah, and also, like,
Yeah.
do you need that?
Okay.
Like, do you need that stuff?
Do you need that stuff? Yes. Do you need that stuff is a whole other thing. And I think that I admire so much about you. I admire that you make your own clothes, which I think is...
Well, here's another thing. I don't think that's necessarily better for the environment. If you're just buying stuff for fabric and supplies all the time, what's the quality of those things? Like, you know.
Exactly. But I do think it is better
I'm
for...
so fun at parties.
That's just... I just need to... Speaking of things, I'll buy you a shirt that says that.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you're right. Yes, obviously, is it necessarily like doing more harm than good, supplies, etc. But I think what I find kind of compelling or interesting about you making your own stuff is that like it kind of like it pulls. What's the word I'm looking for? It like makes some time between like the urge to have a pretty sweater and like the actually getting of the pretty sweater. And like if there was more time between like the urge to have a pretty sweater and actually having a pretty sweater, would we continue to have like, would we actually get a pretty sweater and then have like all these pretty sweaters we don't need? Because like between wanting the pretty sweater and getting the pretty sweater, we discover we have 7 pretty sweaters in our closet, right? Like that I think is it like slows down the shopping, the buying, the consuming, you know. I admire.
Yeah, and I think what making my own clothes like has given me is an appreciation of just my things. You know, whether or not I've made them. Like taking care of the stuff that I do have. And also having an understanding of how that works. Like I think people get really overwhelmed. Like I don't think we would have as much like rampant consumerism of stuff if we didn't feel like we could just easily replace that thing. I mean, there's like so many things at play, right? Like there's some like, you know, there's time privilege, there's like, you know, money privilege, like all of these things. I do feel I do feel like if you have, and I say this a lot, it's like if you've got one of these fucking bricks in your pocket, I'm talking about my phone. This is an audio medium. I feel like if you have a phone and you can like pay for groceries, which are expensive, you can, and you have time at the end of the day to, I don't know, you're not feeding 7 children, etc. I think you have a little bit more responsibility than most other people on the earth.
Oh yeah. Within our agency, for sure.
I think people have a lot more responsibility and accountability to take for how and what we consume. And how and what we throw away. I mean, I'm guilty of this. Like, I'll take my stuff to like a Value Village or a Goodwill or whatever and just be like, well, that's not my problem anymore. But like also knowing full well that the majority of that shit gets put on a boat and gets taken to like a country far, far away from what I think is far, far away from here, out of my mind's eye. Yeah. To like go rot in someone's village and contaminate their water supply, you know? And so I think that there is like, I think making my own clothes has like given me a little bit more of that. But at the same thing, like I think consumerism in making clothing, like if you go on like craft TikTok at all, like I don't think buying, like just because you're spending money on like a bunch of acrylic yarn, like plastic garbage yarn, doesn't make that better than, you know, the plastic garbage sweater that you might have bought at the store. And I think that people get like, there's so much like moralizing that happens around, you know, making your own stuff, but also just buying things. Yes, exactly. And it's like actually everything is so much more nuanced and painful and like teased apart. And that's like, I'm not good. I'm not like better because I make clothes. No. I'm also just like, I make a lot of my own clothes because I need to do something with my hands. That's like, to be very honest, like that is what that comes out of it.
Yeah. I just think that if I had a better understanding, and I have some understanding, you know, I like trained in costumes and things, and like I have an understanding of how something gets made, but I just think that having that practice or time or whatever that might take would probably mean that I would buy less sweaters. You know what I mean? Like, and I think, I think that's so true. Like, again, exactly. Agency. Do you have time to like figure out how to fix your toaster or not because you are like feeding 7 people? Yes. Like totally like what up for, you know, consideration thought.
And I mean,
but,
I'm saying all this shit and I have an Amazon Prime membership. I got no problem talking about that.
I mean,
I'm not going to a store. I don't, you know,
Yeah. And there's all these little like shops now that are interesting that have like popped up, like these fix-it shops. This idea of like, don't just throw it away, fix it.
Yeah.
And there's like, these like little communities and these little like businesses now that make money off of like fixing your toaster or like whatever, repairing your vacuum cleaner or whatever so that you don't keep buying like the newest Dyson model, blah, 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 blah.
Which, by the way, I just will PSA for the people. I worked as a cleaning woman for a number of years. Dysons are a rip off. I'm sorry
there's so
to
many
tell
things.
everybody.
There are so many things that are a ripoff.
And they're not easy to repair. If you ask a vacuum repairman, who I've talked to many of in my cleaning woman days, they don't like them.
This is exactly where I was going. Was things now are being made. Like, okay, great, have your little like fix-it shop, fantastic. But things now are being made to not be fixable, repairable.
Yeah.
Or only repairable by a certain amount of people that have gone to like Dyson school or whatever. And also like, you know, so that you don't have to, so that you literally can't fix it and you have to buy something else. Side note, I think like the experience of shopping is very interesting too. But yeah, like Jacque worked in Target overnight for a long, long time. And yeah, they have their own smell. That's what you like associate with Target when you walk in. I mean, this shit is evil and disgusting and like horrible and awful. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. Besides the fact that it's 5:00 and I think I have to go to my other meeting. We've been chatting away.
Okay, let's wrap this up in 5 minutes.
I know. I was like, let's wrap this up in 5 minutes. I want to know. We've said a lot of like complicated, awful things about shopping.
We've said a lot of complicated stuff, and I think that's how I feel about it. To be honest, like I get kind of frustrated about. Like I love. Okay, here's truly how I feel about shopping. There is no greater joy on planet Earth than getting my little coffee and hitting the town and going into some shops. Baby, I love much about Paris and Parisian culture, but they don't walk around with a coffee in their hands.
Oh yeah, no.
Qu'est-ce que c'est? What do you call it? Emporter, I think that's what it is. To go, not a thing. And they got to get into it because that is heaven. That's heaven.
Browsing.
So
yes.
Yeah, and I love going into, you know, and you know what I also love chatting. I love chatting with the person there. How's your day going? What are you up to?
Yes.
What's the weather like? What are people buying these days? What's new? Tell me about the make of this thing. I do. I love chatting. But I don't love rampant consumerism.
Nope.
And I think we're all so guilty. Like, we're all incredibly guilty of it. Maybe guilty is not the right word because it's like a shaming thing. But like, you know, we all need to take a little bit more accountability and responsibility for how and what we buy and when and from who, you know. I think a lot of the time I could just not buy the thing.
Yes, I've been trying to practice that. Exactly. I've been trying to practice the add to cart, right? Like this idea of like, maybe I could, but I'm not going to. And I have certain rules, and I think that those are good to have. And I'm, you know, curious to know what yours are. But like, you know, I've got certain rules of like, if I bring something in, you got to take something out, or I only get new glasses, like really when I actually need new glasses, or if I do something like I'll, you know, do the lenses, but not the frames, or like, you know what I mean? Like I try to be thinking about these things. We're even doing like, especially when it comes to clothing, because, you know, we've been talking about shopping all kinds of things, but intentionally I was thinking clothes, right? Like, you know, doing kind of like subscription services or rentals, which like also it's like, are those actually doing better for the earth, sustainability? Like, because then you got to ship them. Like, I don't know. But just trying to, I have my own like rules for myself of like never buying something like right when I see it, you know, just like all these things, because otherwise I will just have so much stuff to maintain and manage in my life, which I
that's
don't
the other
want.
thing too. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. Like if you're gonna bring something into your home, like you're responsible for that thing.
Totally.
Yeah,
I think
don't know.
I think we've answered that we like to browse. We like the
I like
option
browsing
of consumerism, but not the not the action of it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I'll be really for real about it too. Like, if I'm gonna spend $5, I'm gonna spend $1, a single dollar.
Yeah.
All of my crap comes to the surface. All of my beliefs about myself and money and what I think I deserve and how it's all going to disappear tomorrow. All that is present. And so, I mean, I think I also kind of hurt myself sometimes by not buying new glasses for 6 years.
Oh, yes, exactly.
6 years.
Yeah.
When I needed to, because I'm like, well, that's stupid, you know? So I think I could maybe in some ways I could try being a little bit nicer to myself that way, but
yeah.
I don't know. It's such a complicated question. It's making me think a lot about our climate episode, and I've been wanting to do a part 2. So maybe that's what this is of part 2. Yes. I know I just went on and I will leave you with this. Josh Gad just wrote a children's book about consumerism, which I think is the funniest fucking irony on planet Earth. Yeah, Disney's like,
interesting. Interesting.
Disney's like, they love to wheel them out.
Yeah.
And he wrote a book on consumerism. So
interesting.
You know, at least you're not Josh Gad.
Oh God. Anyways,
thank
you for listening.
Thoughts?
Thanks for listening. Let us know if you like shopping. What do you love about it? What do you hate about it? What do you wish was easier or better about it? Tell us your thoughts on shopping.
Okay.
That's all.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Do You Ever Feel Like, a podcast from Do You Ever Media.
Follow this chaos wherever you get your pods.
Our artwork is by Simon Peng.
You can write us at doyoueverpod@gmail.com
Learn more about our work at doyouevermedia.com.
or by following us at Do You Ever Media.
Okay, bye!
Okay, bye!